Yo, what is going on, my people? 29 back with another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about a certain subject that so many have been requesting over on my social medias, and that is the future of Mehdi Taremi. What is going on with him, and well, how has his career at Inter, or his time at Inter, been? If you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to like the video, subscribe as well. That helps a lot to the channel. My social media links will be down in the description for you guys to check out, and without further ado, let's get started. Mehdi Taremi, where do I even start? This is a guy who has an exceptional story. If you know a thing or two about Mehdi Taremi, he is not your standard striker who went through the youth team, went to Europe pretty young, and he started balling out. No, he had a much more difficult story. His time in Europe started pretty late for a footballer. I think he started at 26, 27, which is remarkably late for footballers to play in Europe, especially. I mean, he hasn't really been given that many chances. He came up through the ranks in the Iranian leagues, both in the second division and in the main division. He played very well for Persepolis in the Champions League as well. That actually got him a move to Al Gharafa just after the World Cup, which, if you guys remember, that 2018 miss against Portugal, which would have put us through to the knockout stages. No one really ever thought of Mehdi Taremi after that. I thought a lot of people also thought that his career was just then done. How do you bounce back from a miss like that? It was pretty damn depressing. But no, he ranked up his way, went to many teams in Asia. He even got a transfer ban before joining Europe. I think he was meant to join a Turkish team. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but he had a transfer ban. Some stuff happened, and he wasn't eligible. He kept working hard until he reached Rio Ave in the Portuguese league, started banging out goals day out until he got his big move to FC Porto. And that move meant a lot because it was the chance for Mehdi Taremi to put himself on the map, which is exactly what he did. We all know how Taremi was at Porto. Just an exceptional player. Porto fans loved the guy so much, and not only he was banging goals in the league or in the cups, but he had a huge impact Champions League wise. We all remember that bicycle kick against Chelsea, that goal against Juventus, the goal against Liverpool. He had a very solid campaign, and after a few years at Porto, his farewell was very sad. He ended up going to one of the biggest clubs in the world, Inter Milan. And that's where the story kind of begins here for this video. Is, well, he had a very good preseason. He had so much expectations, and why wouldn't you, right? After the seasons that he's had at Porto. And he actually started off the first few games all right. I think he picked up an assist, but from then on, it just went downhill. The guy couldn't really play the way he was playing at Porto. It was very obvious something was going on. I don't really know what it was, but it was actually kind of confirmed that he was signed injured from Inter. He was signed from Inter, injured, and still played. So they essentially bought an injured player. Now, I don't know how reliable that was, but that was something that came out through the Inter sort of news web sources. And it was very strange to me that this is something that popped up that late in the season. And from what I've gathered around, this is not a first within the Inter community. A thing that has actually happened quite a lot in the past, where the news sources are a bit messed up. So it was a first for me, at least. I'm not an Inter fan, but I've been following Inter this season very closely because of Taremi. It was very strange to me to see something like that. And it turns out he also got a pretty bad injury after that. I think it was a pubalgia injury, which is pretty painful for a footballer. And he never really got to really recover from that. He was playing through the pain, I think, until Ron's latest call-up. Not the one in June, but in March is when I think he got his break. Took a few games off and stopped playing, which is good. There's been times where he's been really bad, but that happens to any footballer. Yes, he's had big expectations, but he's also been injured. He's had his time. It's a new league. He has to adapt, because I will be the first guy to put my hands up and say he's had a terrible season. It's not a good season by any means, but it's not as bad as what people make it out to be. People are acting like he has 0 goals, 0 assists, has played 90 minutes every single time, and hasn't done anything. He doesn't have that many minutes in the city. If you look at his minutes in general, I think a stat came out that he's actually the 8th player of Inter Milan, the 7th or 8th player, I'm not too sure, that actually reached 10 goals and assists in all competitions. If you look at the rest of these players, they're all the main starters for Inter Milan. These guys all play pretty much every single game. So to see Taremi behind that makes me think, well, all things considered, with his injury, his new time to adapt, and his struggles and all that, you're not really able to replicate that with Inter Milan, and it's just how it is. Now, do I think he should get shipped off to another team and leave Inter Milan after a year. I've never been a fan of players leaving after a season, especially if that person was injured or had a few complications there and there. Even as a Bayern fan, we've had many situations where the fan base, weren't impressed with a certain player, but to kick him out after a year, I think is always too harsh. A recent example I can think of is Choupo-Moting. This guy wasn't great for Bayern Munich until he had that one really good season, which that's how I think it should be. It's not really fair to really kick out a player after a year unless there's off the field issues or there's something that's really bad. But he was a free agent as well. You got to realize that it's not like Inter Milan paid 500 million for Taremi. I mean, he was a free agent. In one way, I heavily do believe some of his criticisms are overly exaggerated, but in another part, I also do think it is valid because he hasn't been great. If he has one other year or two, that extra year to see, okay, that's how I see it at least. So he has a huge responsibility for Iranian football. He's the only Iranian footballer at this current moment in time that's in a top 5 league, which is embarrassing, but that's just another point which I've talked about numerous times on this channel. I think he still has it in him to improve, but if he doesn't, then yeah, I would be happy with him getting out of Inter, but I think it's too harsh. I don't think it's overly fair for a player like him. Especially we've seen how much quality he's had, and he's turned up in big games. That AC Milan game was one, and that Barcelona game was one. He didn't start in the Champions League final. Now, I was very upset too, but I don't really see what he could have added. Certainly, I think Inzaghi got his subs wrong. I think he got the whole game wrong in the first place. But whether Taremi started or whatever, I don't think would have made much of a difference. I think that PSG team was just too much for Inter. So let's see what happens with Mehdi Taremi from then on. If you guys, again, are new to the channel, please make sure to smash that subscribe button as well. Like the video, it helps a ton. All my social media links will be down in the description for you guys to check out. And yeah, what do you guys think about this whole Mehdi Taremi situation? Let me know down in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Damn, I'm on red alert.